Well, hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. And we're back with the Italian Exotica this time round. And my good friend and colleague, associate, partner in crime, some people have even likened us to brothers. Olivier Nameche has come over from Canada, probably the world's leading Lamborghini historian, I would say. So welcome, Olivier.
Thank you for your welcome.
We've actually dug the other Islero out that we're restoring. We have 2 of the 225 Isleros built here for restoration.
Yes.
This one's coming along very nicely, and we've covered this, the beautiful interior trim that Craig's been doing, etc., in previous videos. But I'd like to start, Olivier. You told me earlier on, it's worth mentioning this. What's the origin of the name? I mean, this was an incredibly, as I've said, an incredibly rare Lamborghini. What was the meaning? Where did the name Islero come from?
Well, the Islero come from a Spanish name on a bull, and that bull has killed a toreador, Mr. Manolete. It was on the 29th August 1947 that incident happened, but the guy passed away a few hours after having been hurt by the horn of the bull. It was fascinating for the period because Manolete was one of the most famous Spanish toreador. He became a legend due to that incident, fatal incident. So Ferruccio, in one of the approach he have for the toreador and the corrida, all that mythology surrounding this fight between man and the animals, he paid attention to that history while he was walking around in an exhibition with pictures of corrida.
Right.
So he was caught by his attention. And coincidentally, but it's not, of course, in the history of the brand, but the 350 GT was just the label based on the engine capacity of the first V12, 3.5. Then the 400 GT 2+2 or GT alone was also based on the 4-liter engine capacity. And in 1968, that is the start of the Toro machine, I would say, involvement in the naming of each models.
So he started to car, because he was a Taurus.
He was he was born under the Taurus.
So, 28th of April.
Correct.
The sign of the bull, he took on bulls, you're saying, from 1968?
8, because in Geneva, at the car show, Salon de l'Automobile of Geneva, they launched that year 2 models on the same stand. On one side the Islero, on the other side the Espada. So 2 different approach with front-end V12, same engine capacity, and 2 names coming from the Toro machine field.
Right.
One, the Espada, which is the sword.
The sword, yeah.
And the Islero for the bullfighting.
Right, okay. And that was, apart from, I mean, the one there were 2 that didn't spring to mind. One was the, or have sprung to mind because they're not named after bulls. One is the LM002, the 4x4, and the other one is the Countach.
Yeah.
So
it's a Piemontese expression.
Exactly, meaning wow, or oh my goodness, or something a little stronger maybe.
Yeah,
even.
Stronger.
Much stronger.
Much stronger.
Every Lamborghini of this age has a story to tell, doesn't it?
Most of them.
They were built in such small numbers. If you bought a Lamborghini, you were a serious person with a serious bank account, I would say. In fact, Frank Sinatra said, if I'm right, Frank Sinatra allegedly said, if you're going somewhere, you buy a Ferrari. If you've already arrived, you buy a Lamborghini or something along those lines.
Yeah, more or less, yes.
But the other one has a particular story.
That one is very particular.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's go.
So, we have second Islero behind us here.
A strange one.
Strange one. Tell me about it.
Well, when the Islero start to progress in mind of Ferruccio, this is because at first he was believing that he needs to bring new model very shortly. So the 400 GT2 plus 2 was at the end of a crisis with the bankruptcy of Touring Superleggera, which bankrupted in December 1966. And then Ferruccio was looking for another contractor to continue the production, because the other forms were continuing to fill in from the network that has been raised all over the world. And one of the subcontractors of Touring Superleggera was Mr. Marazzi with his brother, and they offered to Ferruccio to continue the production of the 400 GT2 plus 2. And in December 1967, Ferruccio asked Mr. Marazzi how he will develop still on the same mechanical shape, configuration, how he will improve the body. So Mr. Marazzi had to, he's not a designer, so he realized a small model. Half of the model was the shape and the lines of the 400 GT2 plus 2, and on the other side was the sketch of the Islero. So on the same model, each side different. So Ferruccio could see, looking at one side, okay, this is the car existing. Now putting on the other side, on the left side, it's the Islero shape. And based on this, he said, okay, we can go for it. I want the car ready for March to present it at Geneva.
So Touring of Milan, a very famous Italian coach builder, they invented the Superleggera system, which is the small steel framework with the aluminium skin on top,
Yep.
which, in fact, they designed Aston Martin DB4.
Yes.
And they designed a lot of cars, actually. And then they went bankrupt, as you say, in 1967. Jensen had the same problem because the Interceptor, I think, was designed by Touring of Milan as well. Manufacturers were scrambling around to find other coach builders and stylists. And he arrived at Marazzi, Ferruccio Lamborghini. But, that's why the Islero looks almost an origami Lamborghini in a way, really, you know?
Well, it had to fit on the frame.
Yes.
Still the original one, which has been improved, but it's still from the first sketch of the frame designed and drawn by Giampaolo Dallara.
Yeah, at the very beginning of Lamborghini.
Yeah, well, in 1968, Giampaolo, it is the year in which he will leave the factory.
Yeah.
So Marazzi start with the green light of Ferruccio to prepare the car, the first one, which bear the 6000 VIN number. And the car was built very quickly. In 2 months, it was done. It had to be done. And it was displayed on the same stand. On one side, it was the Espada, built by Berton and under the design of Marcello Gandini. And on the other side, with poor coach builder, Marazzi family, they present the Islero.
But the Islero turned out to be quite a popular model, didn't it? 100 of the GT and then 225 of the next model, the GTS. Mm-hmm. But they go like the wind because there's no weight in them to speak of. They're very light, aren't they?
Compared to the Espada, it's about 400 kilos difference. It's
Right.
lighter. Much lighter.
A huge difference. And this particular car is historically important, isn't it?
Yeah, there are several cars among the Islero which are important. The first one, the 6000, because it's the first prototype, which has been used by the factory at Geneva, but other exhibitions as well. Then you have a second car, which was a prototype. It's the VIN number 6009 that I've been honored to discover after chasing for 25 years, buying it. Now it's into the hands. I kept the car for 8 years, and it is the car which was the third prototype, which has been intensively used, abused, crashed, repaired, and finally has been sold to an enthusiast in France. The car was the test driver car for the French importer VPM, and later the car was used at Le Mans for the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Ah,
But this is
right.
another story. The car
car.
didn't race, it has been disqualified. But let's go to the next one. The next one is this particular car bearing the VIN 6015. So this car has been used by the press department at the factory. Ferruccio was not regularly involved with the press. He had a press officer in charge of this. That press officer took advantage that because of the Islero name, so we touch the Toro machine, and the fact that Ferruccio was using another name, which is Miura. The Miura label is that specific race of bull which are raised in the south part of Spain, near Sevilla. He was thinking for a long time to pay a visit to Don Miura, the owner of the ranch, and to thank him. Mm-hmm. So he asked his press officer to manage a visit in order to meet Mr. Don Miura for the first time, to thank him, and to take advantage to be there with the little team and the local distributor of Lamborghini in Spain. They organized that little trip with a Miura, silver, and this Islero, which was green. Both cars were also displayed at Barcelona car show.
Yep.
And they have been used to go to the south for the visit. So the visit starts with Don Miura. There are several pictures, both guys shaking hands, speaking together, taking the pose with the label Miura range at the main entrance.
Now, there's something interesting about the front of this car, which you and I have been poring over old archive material,
yes,
as we have to do with a restoration like this. And we noticed that the front bumper on the other car, for example, is a one-piece stainless steel fabrication. Very simple. But on this one, it's two bumperettes, it's two quarter bumpers.
Yep.
And then there are three screws that hold on a thin, I'm assuming it's stainless steel, strip between the two. This was, as far as I know, unique to this car. So we are going to have to, this is what happens, we're going to have to replicate those two front bumpers and that stainless steel strip.
Yeah, because in the package, the car doesn't have it any longer.
Exactly. So this car arrived with a package of parts, which is fine. That's what we signed up for. We know we're going to have to make quite a lot of bits for this car. But the other interesting thing is the windscreen. And this became a subject of some conversation. The windscreen is actually zone tinted, as it's called. This is a laminated windscreen, but window tinting only started properly in cars in 1966.
Yes.
And we have a zone tinted, as we call it in English, where it's got a sun strip, which is actually let into the glass. It's like sprayed on. It's only for the top bit. And we thought it was unique to this car, but actually we've discovered, looking through photographs that you've supplied, that quite a few Isleros had this feature. But this is achingly high technology for 1968 to have a tinted strip in the windscreen. Tinted glass was only just coming in. It became an optional extra on Rolls-Royce and Bentley as Sundym. Triplex, the British company, made it called Sundym, Sundym. And if you saw a car advertised in the 1970s with Sundym glass, whoa, that was amazing. But to see this on a car in 1968 is really pushing the boundaries. This is the original windscreen from this car, which is incredible, really. We won't be dropping this.
No.
But we think it's because the cabin on the Islero is the roof is so small that the windscreen comes up quite high and you sat quite forward. We actually think that maybe Bob Wallace, when he was out road testing it.
Probably, he was as tall as me.
6'2".
Yeah.
He said this is, well, even, I mean, a smaller person, it would be more, because even lower. They actually said this is too high. We have to put a tinted strip across it.
I can confirm, because when I'm sitting in my own Islero, I'm too high and I have also that angle
Right.
with the sun. So,
Yeah.
but I believe all the Islero had it.
Right.
But what is amazing to see, two cars presented and launched at the same exhibition in Geneva. The Espada has known, and the Islero have it. The first one in the Lamborghini range to have it.
Yeah. I would go further and say it was probably one of the first cars ever built to have a zone-tinted windscreen.
To complete with Ferruccio, as I said, the first spot was to make the pictures with Don Miura, but then they went into a corrida center, an arena, and they also played the game with toreadors, using the Islero as the bull to fight inside
the bull ring.
The bull ring, and many pictures have been taken also. And then downtown Sevilla, there were also a little conference that was done by Ferruccio. So Ferruccio involved himself quite a bit more than for the other model,
right.
Playing, the role of the boss, playboy a little bit, showing his new model and to push to its, I would say, success. And
right.
all this was surrounded, of course, by the team from the Spanish importer.
Well, this is a 400 GT, which was the second model that Lamborghini produced.
Correct.
Ever, apart from tractors and air conditioning units. And this is finished in to my mind, definitive colour combination for this car, which is Grigio St. Vincent with the tobacco leather.
Yeah, very
which is
successful.
Just stunning, and a lot of people quite rightly specified them in this colour. Now, you're going to tell us a story about the headlights on this.
Well, the 350 GT had the unique headlights on both sides, but it was not enough performing while driving in the evening or the night.
Yes.
So this one were much more performing and giving more safety to the driver.
This is a light car, isn't it? I mean, obviously this is steel-bodied, this car. They made 23 interim models, didn't they, between the
So between the 350 GT and the 400 GT 2+2, it was in fact 350 GTs which have been fitted with a 4-liter engine capacity at the production line. Right. And this is the mistake where many people over the years, we are speaking with cars of 60 years old, so they have been transformed over the years by different owners. Some cars had a weak engine 3.5 replaced by a 4-liter engine, but the swap was done after the production.
Yes.
Maybe the year after, or 5 years, or even later. Then some people took from a donor car a V12 from an Espada Crash or Islero or Yarama and fitted it.
Yeah.
And then the following owners believed that they had the Graal. They had the ultimate interim. The interim is not the factory name, it's the Lamborghini collectors community, and it's coming, that word is coming from USA. So the interim model at first and only is a 4-liter fitted in the car at the production.
Yeah. And is it 3 of them were alloy bodied, from memory?
3 alloy.
Three alloy bodied. They must have gone like the wind, actually. Combination of lightweight and 4-liter V12 engine.
But you know, even the 350 GTs, the first sequence batch were with alloy full body, and then the end of the production, because of the bankruptcy with Touring Superleggera, they were full steel.
Yes.
So the difference in weight is not that much. We speak about 40 to 50 kilos.
Right. Yeah.
If I'm correct.
This is a beautiful car. It's in for an engine rebuild, which is well on the way to being finished, with lots of our Wizzy custom-made parts. More of that to come. We're in the process of, as we're being nerdy on Lamborghinis, we're in the process of launching a suite of engine modifications for the original Lamborghini V12, which make them more responsive. In fact, we've been out in an Espada, haven't we, with the package on it, packages on it. and you noticed a difference immediately, didn't you?
It pulls so strongly. It's much stronger. And also the idle, you took close to 8,000 RPM you took.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a very different beast to the standard Islero or Espada or 400 or Countach engine, Miura engine. So all those modifications we're going to be talking about in a video. We're just fine-tuning everything, literally.
Final adjustment.
Exactly, final sign-off on specifications. But yeah, great car. So let's see what else we have. They made 35 Lamborghini Yelpa, however you pronounce it in Italian. Yelpa, because there is no J in Italian, apparently.
Yeah.
So even though they called it a name with a J, Jalpa. Go figure. Anyway, so they made 35 right-hand drive. We've got 2 of them here, so we've got 5% of total Helper right-hand drive production on the premises. But you think this car has an interesting history, don't you, this particular car?
I cannot presume, but it looks immediately, I thought about the front cover of Car Magazine back in August 1983. It was a silver car, right-hand drive, with a black interior. So I don't know the VIN number of the car featured in the magazine, but it made things about it immediately.
83, that was the launch of the Helper then, wasn't it, basically?
Yes.
And it was a sort of rehashed silhouette, wasn't it? A rehashed Araco silhouette.
Well, the silhouette was not a big success.
Yes.
As we know, 52 units sold.
Yeah.
Pushing hard. Yeah, lovely. You had one, a white one,
we did
some years
one of the
ago.
prototypes. Yeah.
The second prototypes. It was the idea of Patrick Mimran, the new owner, with his brother, older brother, Jean-Claude. And they decided to modernize the look of the silhouette. And this is why the arches are quite different, more in the spirit of the Countach.
Yes.
And the rear end, I mean the cover, the engine cover is also slightly different. So by giving a new interior, new dash, they modernize it, trying to catch much more potential customers. It was not a big success either. I mean, much more than the Silhouette, of course, because we speak about more than 400 numbers.
There was also another Lamborghini styling project, which I think the wheels and the wheel arches came from as well, which was the Aton, which I always thought was an amazing looking car. It never went into production, it was a one-off. Probably got sold off with the rest of Bertoni's assets at the time. I wonder where that car is actually.
I think it is in Zurich.
Do you?
Our good friend collector.
Okay. Say no more. Okay. But yeah, the wheels are straight off the Aton, I think, on this. But I always find, because this is when did the Araco come out? 1970, 71, something like that? 70. And this is a sort of rehashed 1980s version of it. I always found it a bit of a clash of two cultures, styling-wise, the Yelpa. But they drive great and they sound wonderful. I've done a video on all the V8 Lamborghinis from that era. I've done separate videos way back in the channel. We'll put some links up so people can see.
We had the Araco with several evolutions.
Yep.
The P250, P400. The P200 for the Italian market because of the huge tax on the engine capacity. But also before jumping into the Silhouette, we had a one-off model which could have been a fantastic and successful model, the Bravo.
Yes, the Bravo.
The Bravo had a look-alike like a mini Countach, and it was based on the same frame and V8 engine, 3 liters.
Yeah.
So the Bravo could have been so successful.
Exactly. And the other thing about the Bravo, it started that wonderful 5-hole styling phenomenon of alloy wheel that went on to be on the Countaches, which was an amazing piece of industrial design. We could talk forever about Lamborghinis and such things, but I'm going to wrap it up there, Olivier, because I think people are probably had enough nerdiness for one episode, but thank you so much for coming to visit. I know you're here on business and we have things to do, but it's always so great to grab the opportunity while you're here and really nerd out on some Lamborghini history. Olivier, thank you.
Thank you also, and let's go in the office now.
Yeah, absolutely. Do the real bit.
Yep.